Look, I had a very fruitful meeting with the community of Hermanus today. My first meeting was with the municipality in the morning, and then together with the leadership of Zwelihle. And then subsequent to that, I went to a packed stadium of more than 5,000 people in Zwelihle to talk to the people of Zwelihle. Look, essentially, I made it very clear to people that we must separate the issues of people who have genuine concerns about service delivery in Hermanus. But we cannot condone lawlessness by people who have now resorted to the kind of vandalism that you spoke about. But in a nutshell, Joanne, we agreed that the plight of backheaders will now be addressed. Because backheaders somehow feel that they are treated like unwanted stepchildren, because we normally prioritize people who are living in shacks and forget about them. So we have agreed that the municipality has identified the land, will assist the municipality to service that land and subdivide it, because all they want at the moment is for them to have access to a piece of land, because they do understand that we have limited resources. It's just not possible for us as government to build a house for everyone who needs it. So I think that was well received by people, and they've accepted the fact that they will have access to a site in Zwelihle.
So tell us a little bit more about this site, MEC, its size, how many homes you plan to build there. Give us some details, please.
Look, we didn't want to give the details to the community deliberately, because that question came up. You see, Joanne, what I want to avoid here is a situation where people have their own agendas, start to visualize the site that we are talking about, and tomorrow you end up with an invasion on that particular site. But there are two sides that we'll be looking at. I mean, for the reason that I've just mentioned, we will not mention the names of those sites and where they are. And I think I did communicate that to the community, and they understood that once you do that, you are actually jeopardizing the process that you are embarking on, because you might end up with a situation where people just invade that land.
You very rightly said that no lawlessness can be condoned in the way these protests take place. But some of those protesters say they've been waiting to be moved from the informal settlements to proper homes for more than 20 years. Is it any wonder they're frustrated with the pace at which things are moving, MEC?
Well, that's exactly the point that I made. While we cannot condone their actions, but their frustration, is justified. I think, Joe, that's exactly the reason why I went there. Because if it was a case of people who are hooligans, who are resorting to the kind of behavior that we've seen with no reason, I wouldn't have went to Hermanus. I went there because I know that there are backheaders really with genuine concerns, and I strongly believe that we must change the way we do things. And I had this meeting with the municipality where I made it very, very clear that we must now start respecting our own processes, because we have a housing demand database, and we always say that the principle of first come, first served must be respected, it must be adhered to. And if we don't do that, we'll end up with the situation that we are seeing in a number of other areas. But I must also say, Joanne, that we have suddenly seen this wave of protests and land invasions across the country. And it is also true that this was sparked by the motion the motion that was tabled by the EFF, supported by the ANC, to expropriate land without compensation. And many people really interpreted that, as a license to just grab land all over. So we must also address that, because if we as leaders do not clarify the meaning of that and the process that the national legislature is embarking on for that to be implemented, we will have this situation.
Let me just ask you a question about this particular area, or the areas you have demarcated, MEC, where you will plan to build various kinds of homes. Have you set a deadline for when at least one of those properties will be finished?
Well, again, that was the question that they asked. And I think a very clear answer for me was the following. One, there are processes that we still need to embark on, particularly your EIA, and we'll be engaging with the Department of Environmental Affairs and Development Planning in the province, but also we will have to engage with the Department of Forestry to deal with some of the processes there. But we also need to get a list of backyarders so that we can determine those who qualify and those who do not qualify. Because what we also made it very clear, Joanne, is that if you received a house in Cape Town and then you relocated to Hermanus, you must understand that you will not be assisted by government again. So we need to have a list. We need to screen that list. We need to identify people who qualify for the assistance from government, because that allocation will be guided by that. So people also understand that. So these are processes that we must embark on jointly from the community side and from our side as government. And I have committed myself that the team of officials from all three spheres of government, together with the team of representatives from that community, must meet immediately next week so that they can outline the process that will be followed in terms of the program of action, so that people have an idea of how long this process will take and what will the process entail. So I think that was explained to them today.
All right, thank you very much for talking to us. Western Cape Human Settlements MEC Bonginkosi Madikizela.